Good morning, everybody. Tom King here. My friend Terrence Stevens coming to you live in person this week for our next episode of The Business of Life in Black and White. And Terrence and the incredible Larry Gore crashed the King household for a couple of days of tranquility. So we got the opportunity to do this in person the way
Do
it's supposed
this
to
in
be.
person. I'm so glad. Thank you guys for having us, hosting us. And we are coming to you live from the boat dock of the King House.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about a topic that came up while we were sitting out here last night, maybe having a cocktail. So figured what a great opportunity to dive into that a little further and
Yeah.
expand on that conversation. So you and I were talking about just kind of our businesses in general and a couple specific transactional details and some things that we had to do to kind of make things right and to
Yeah.
make sure a deal got done. And we kind of launched into a conversation of, this is what business is supposed to be in our minds, not necessarily about how much money can I make on this specific deal or, this specific transaction, but building a business by treating people the way that they deserve to be treated, by delivering on what you promise,
Yeah.
even if that means you got to, cut off your right arm, right, to give them your left or whatever that saying is.
I think there's something to say about running a business, but understanding the importance of customer service. There's no greater act of customer service than sacrifice. Sometimes you might sacrifice time, sometimes you will sacrifice resources, but in all the times, it's important for you to sacrifice yourself as the business professional so that the person on the other side feels uh, like there's gratitude coming from you, like there's an appreciation, because there's a lot of people in our businesses that they could choose from. So, what's going to set you apart? And I think ultimately, if anybody were to ask what sets us apart, it's the level of sacrifice that will make to ensure that the client gets what they want, right? Obviously, upon reason and for the right person who might do that thing for you. But this thing is about customer service to the extreme. And what does that look like on a daily basis? So we've shared some individual stories and,
Yeah. And real estate and mortgage are very, very similar in that respect, right? And that's kind of where we started was there's a lot of realtors that, and credit or discredit, whatever you want to say, Zillow for probably a lot of that, right? Like Zillow's made this thing a very impersonal business
yep.
where the client goes online, picks some rando agent they've never heard of, doesn't do any due diligence to figure out if they actually sell anything or they're any good, right? So now we've got this very transaction based deal going on where nobody really knows each other. The client's just there, and then the agent's just serving them because it was the lead that they basically paid for,
Yeah.
and like you can't really make that into anything other than a transaction,
Yeah.
right? And mortgage side, same thing, right? You get a bunch of people that just go on to some stupid website and fill something out. And, once that happens, you've created an environment where once something goes sideways, you know, I don't have anything invested in somebody who doesn't know me or want to know me.
Yeah.
You don't have anything invested. So why would you treat them, a certain way?
I think I'm going to touch on that word, right? This is a business about investment, right?
Literally,
Literally and figuratively. This is a business where as a business professional, I'm talking about you purchasing an investment or you selling an investment. And so, why not in the right mind be about my own personal investment, right? A lot of these transactions, as they are uncomfortable, right? It's a lot of money, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of energy that we're talking about, but all of those things are investments. So, if I am trying to guide you as a real estate professional into purchasing an investment, then isn't it in my best interest to show you as the consumer how I am about the importance of investment, how I can invest myself into you? And I think that's what bridges the gap between client who may not know anything about you, or they might know everything about you through referral, but you treating them as an individual, and it's important that there's an investment being made on both sides. That's what builds the relationship. And that's what I've always found. The relationship is built through trust, and the trust is built through a common investment.
Well, and that's part of what we said yesterday too, right? Was it's on our side as people that love to be friends with our clients and
Yeah.
invest in our clients, right? It's a whole lot easier, and there's a whole lot more commitment on my side to invest in somebody that's reciprocating that,
Yeah.
right? When the client is consistently appreciative and thankful for what we're doing, like it's a no-brainer. It makes it so easy for me on a Saturday morning when they need some numbers that they could have asked me 2 days ago during the work week. Like I got no problem doing that, right? Because that person is so grateful for everything that we're doing for them, and
Yep.
we're so grateful for them as a client. Like that just makes that an easy
Yeah.
call, you know?
And I think that there's something to say there with those that you will go above and beyond for versus those who don't necessarily deserve that,
Yeah.
right? We all have examples of clients in this business who will take advantage of the person that we are and the things that we'll do, and there are those who will show their gratitude and appreciation, who will respect your boundaries, who will invest back into you with referral, right? I will go above and beyond for somebody who constantly speaks my name in rooms
Right.
that I'm not in. And so if you need anything from me before, during, or after the fact of your transaction, and I know that your main goal is to help my business thrive, then my investment is right back into your life, and whatever that might be. For an example, we just Larry and I just hosted a housewarming, which doubled as a client's um, son's first birthday. And so they wanted the combination of these two things. And so as we will as a team invest in our clients' housewarmings as an opportunity to meet more of their friends and loved ones, this was also a doubling of a first birthday, and we're celebrating life.
Yeah.
But they've leaned on us to organize, to send invites, to do the champagne toast, to make sure that there's a schedule, because they've never done this thing before.
Yeah.
So even after the fact, my team will go the length to make sure that we're still involved in our clients' lives, and they trust us with that, and that's an important thing. I mean, I'm not just a transactional agent that's going to disappear when the job is done. I am a friend, and as I've invested that time and energy, it has been invested right back into me in countless ways of, again, referrals, or in tough times when I need prayer or some guidance. A client of mine right now is one of my medical professionals that I'm able to lean in on if I need medical guidance and assistance. She's a friend, a client, but also a medical professional. So when I need that assistance, I can lean on her
Yeah.
because we have that relationship. So I think at the end of the day, the way that you treat people or the way that people treat you, 9 times out of 10, and it's important in this profession to really focus not on the transaction. That transaction is just one thing. And in our business, it can take 30 to 60 days, maybe. But what's the relationship years and years down the line?
I mean, ironic, right? We're sitting on my dock
Yep.
after going fishing yesterday with you and my son and your business partner, and after all these years, and it's just a perfect example of
Yeah.
what you and I have tried to do business wise.
Yeah.
And I guess it's fair to say, both from the business professional side and the client side, there are wildly successful realtors and mortgage guys who do not operate
Yeah.
under this guise, right?
Yep.
Everything is a transaction, and I can think of somebody I know specifically who's the best processed mortgage guy. I mean, his system is just lights
Yeah.
out, right? And he's got a business that's way bigger than mine. And it's different, right? It's a different business, a different relationship. So it's not that it's for everybody. So I think a lot of that is you and I's personality style as well, right?
Yeah.
And the way that we care about people anyway,
Yep.
right? So why not take that care and turn that into the successful
Yeah.
business?
It's just to double back on what you said, it's kind of surreal to be sitting here recording a podcast after all these years. We're 8 years in. I've seen your kids turn from kids to young adults, and you have seen me transform my business to now including a business partner, and but none of this has felt like
Yeah.
business. We have set for the last 48 hours. We've talked business on the fly. We've been on a boat. We've fished. We've cooked together. We've laughed. We've shared cocktails. And all of that, all in its respect, is tied back into business. This is so much about our personal lives that have just, and this is why I will always say business and pleasure intersect. And those who try to avoid it don't really truly get the essence of good business.
Yeah. And you're missing that opportunity, right? I think I said to you the other day, like I will never forget. It was when I left Wells Fargo is when I started to, when I kind of had this epiphany of, spent my entire career thinking that I go to work and I'm this loan officer, and then I go home and I get to be Tom and his family. Man, the second I figured out that, throw that crap out the window and I can turn this into, a bunch of money and a house for my family, and like, man, what a better way to live your life than to intertwine those things.
Even as now, as I'm planning a second housewarming for my house, is I'm inviting clients, right? This is just because my clients are my friends, and they will be the reason that, or I will be the reason that they're motivated to do more in the real estate world. And even as an opportunity, one of my clients is the contractor who did my home, and now I'll get an opportunity to really present to the rest of my client base, my friend base and family, the work that he's done, to now feed right back into him as a business professional. And the cycle is just continuing, right? This is a cycle of treat people well, people will treat you well, and you don't have to worry about anything, right? It's when you stop focusing on how you treat people and how people treat you that you lose the essence of this thing, and you lose the opportunities to do this right in the moment.
And I think it's important to note that, like, building a business this way probably takes a lot longer.
Oh yeah.
Right. Than building it by just picking up the phone and cold calling 4,000 people every day. Right.
And I wouldn't trade it for the world. Right. We the way that we've decided to build business, the way that we talk about building business, allows us to be on a boat fishing and making calls and taking calls on a Tuesday afternoon, while some people have committed to sitting at a desk and doing 1 million cold calls a week. And both are successful.
Yeah.
Both are, but the value to us in business is much more aligned with moments like this than it is having 300 clients to serve a year.
Yeah.
I'll get there if God says it to be, but if I don't, I have lived quite the life of business and personal colliding, and I have quite the tribe of people in my business sphere that will allow my business to continue to go and grow organically. Nothing about what we do is inorganic.
And full circle, right? Kind of where the conversation started, like the things that you and I are willing to do to serve people, and again, more the people that are appreciative of it, but even the people that aren't, and we had a couple specific examples that we discussed last night, right? Even the people that don't necessarily deserve that. The way that we've built these businesses is, it doesn't matter. You have to do what's right. It doesn't matter if you even get paid. You have to deliver what you promised. And when you screw up, you own it. And that was the other part of the conversation with somebody else we were talking about, who was kind of passing the buck on, so-and-so, and it was the attorney and whoever did this. And man, at the end of the day, when you build a business where your friends are your clients or your clients are your friends, there is no, the attorney didn't do their job or so-and-so did. It doesn't matter, right? You and I are the only people that it ultimately has to stop with us, right? Everything's my fault. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you wear that, when you wear that armor, when you wear that on your back, sometimes it can be heavy, right? But when and as I sit here and look at your arm and realize that we share a commonality that it just crossed my mind today. But it says it's a Bible verse, and it's Isaiah 41, and it says, "Fear not, for I am with you." And ironically enough, I have it on my back, and Tom has it on his arm, but it's the constant reminder that no matter what choice you make, God's always got your back, right? You might be up against the wall. You might have made a decision that might sacrifice what's coming to your pocket or how people might look at you, but fear not, because I am with you, and whatever you've got going on, it's on me as well. So no matter how heavy these decisions might be, or no matter how people might look at you after them, all of that is irrelevant because I'm with you.
Yeah.
And so I think that just takes us back to our spiritual connection as well, that this thing is much bigger than just business. It is much bigger than just personal. It is the way that we are rooted in the spirit as well, that says do right by people, people will do right by you, and even if they don't, I'm with you.
Yep. Doesn't matter, right? It's
Doesn't
easy,
matter.
easy decision to make.
Every
Do
time.
the right thing because I'm not scared. I know
Every
he's
time.
got me covered.
Well,
I love it.
yeah, that was a good one.
All right, so let's see.
On the
Fun
spot
closing question.
question.
I didn't think of
Gosh.
anything today. All right, so we had a fun as I sit here and look at your gruesomely lovely leg
Yep.
injury. I know what the worst injury in your life has ever been, despite all your football heroics.
Yes.
So with that in mind, give me the you showed us some pretty gruesome pictures last
Oh,
night. So you managed that whole thing pretty well,
yeah.
all things considered. You were in the hospital for a freaking month. They cut your body open. Give me the most painful, the most physically painful part of either that injury or presuming there's not an injury that was
Oh
ever more physically
no, it's
painful than that.
not an injury, okay? But the most physically painful thing I've ever been through. Oh my goodness. um, it is shingles, believe
Shut
it
up.
or not. Okay, not a surgery, not a knife involved, but when I was
I mean, out of ignorance, shingles is like a rash,
it
right?
is
Right?
a
Okay.
rash, and it is a rash that most old people get. It is an old, they
Okay.
call it like chicken pox for old people.
Okay.
I got shingles when I was like 15 years old. They say it's stress induced. I remember being a freshman. I was maybe 14 or 15. I was a freshman on the football team, and this rash started from the middle of my back. It goes in a nerve track, started in the middle of my back and went all the way around to my chest. And for 2 weeks, I could not wear anything. I could not put on pads.
Oh
I
my
had to stop.
God.
It was the worst
That's why you like
sensation
walking
I've
around without your
ever.
shirt on so
There it
much.
is. I
That's where it
promise
all
to
began.
God.
Shirtless Terrence
It
began with
was
shingles.
the worst thing in the world. If you've ever experienced chicken pox as a kid, you're able to get shingles. It is stress reduced. This is why we stay away from stress. Shingles by far is the worst pain I have
Interesting.
ever had in my life for a consistent period of time,
Yeah.
without question. And I have shattered my leg completely open, done some other crazy things, but shingles
Hmm.
by far takes the cake.
I would not have seen that coming.
Yes, takes the cake.
Man, that's good. And I'm trying to think if I've even got anything now that I asked the question. Oh, usually I try to base my question on the answer I'm going to give, not the one you're going to give. I don't know. I mean, I've broken bones and all that
What have you
crap. I
broken?
mean, I broke my collarbone. I guess that was
Ooh,
probably the one because they have
gosh.
to like pin your body
Oh
back. And
my
that was when
God.
I was in high school. Broke both my wrists and my arms and all that crap. And
Really?
yeah.
So this is my first break ever in my life.
Okay.
So no, I guess maybe I wasn't as adventurous in
I fell in an indoor soccer game, and I was always a good enough athlete to play sports and never a good enough athlete to excel at
yeah.
sports. So I was never good at falling, and I fell in an indoor soccer game. And when I tell you, my arm broke, my wrist broke, and my arm was up here, flat
Oh,
down. So they had to like literally, I think he like I remember the
fracture.
doctor like telling my dad to sit down, and the doctor literally took my and just whacked it on his own knee, and that's how they like set it back into place. I mean, I remember when that happened, I hit the ground. I remember hearing my mom like screeching from up in the stands. It was so gross. So it was a long time ago. I don't remember the
Ooh,
specific pain, but I can imagine it was bad.
gosh.
Anyway, story time's over. See you next week. Terrence Stevens, Tom King.
Thank you guys for joining.
We build businesses based on taking care of people, and we'd love to take care of you.
Let's
Have a
do
good
it.
day.